Listen very, very carefully. I killed Paul Allen. And I liked it.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Welcome to the Infected.
Hey, hello brothers and sisters. Right now in the Netherlands, the weirdest things happen. I'm talking about snow and hailstones alternating with blue skies and sunshine almost every half hour. But we don't care. We're in a great mood because spring is here. And we are so ready for it that we wanted to make a sunny, light-hearted episode of The Infected for you. Just this once. We feel the spring vibe, and my favorite quote about this season is probably, "Spring is nature's way of saying, let's party." And boy, are we ready to party. Although some of the lyrics may still be somewhat dark, touching on themes like drug dependency and police violence, this episode is really all about easy and upbeat tracks that are fit to lift your spirits. It's the most light-hearted The Infected episode yet. You don't have to be hardcore to be into hardcore. Let's get this show on the road with the extended version of their 1985 track, To Breathe. mid-80s track with loving layers of sound and sound effects, and you could feel that at this time, at this period, people were just figuring out what to do with all these new synthesizers and production techniques, and it sounds like a lot of fun. And did I detect that the singer is French? Is it a French act?
She is French, but the act is actually from Brixton, South London.
Oh, really?
So there were 3 sound engineers, Hugh, Robert and Clive, and they were introduced to this singer, Regine Fétet, that we just heard. She's French. She'd never sung before, but she did have an enigmatic, fragile voice, which coincidentally matched perfectly with the sound that these guys were looking for and creating. Mm-hmm. And working in unison with a heavily accentuated French vocal, the result was magnificent and unique, as you've just heard. But I realize it's like, where's this going? The first seconds, it's like almost going to the Italo route.
Yeah.
A lot going on, I agree. Anyway, after these 3 sound engineers joined up with Regine, a 12-inch was released soon after, containing this track, To Breathe. There's actually another one, Respirer, which means the same. It's just a French word for to breathe. There's some differences in the songs. This record was circulated around London's dance floors, and in no time a wave of attention hit them, and they dominated the independent pop charts in 1984 and 85. Also, John Peel championed them on his infamous late-night show, Radio 1, and they headlined at his ICA Rock Week in the Mall, London. That's also the version I think you can hear on Spotify. This version we just played is the extended 12-inch original one. Anyway, Hardcore eventually signed up with major label Polydor Records, and this enabled the band to work with a couple of their favorite and respected producers, like Martin Rushent, known for his great work with The Human League, and also Depeche Mode producer Daniel Miller. However, these sessions provided the public with just one single due to the label's non-promotion, and I think we talked about this before, unwillingness to promote certain bands that they signed. Anyway, the band also went on a major tour with The Cure in 1985, with Depeche Mode in 88.
Oh wow.
Yeah, serious stuff. And before they finally disintegrated. And their live shows were quite notorious also because Regine's quite provocative on stage. She tended to take off her top on stage regularly. The thing was, she was an exotic dancer before connecting with hardcore.
Oh, she couldn't help it.
No, she couldn't help it.
It's just in her nature. Yeah,
probably.
Of course.
And she didn't have a lot of singing experience. Took off her top. Anyway, that's also the reason that many of their songs incorporate a lot of erotic references. In fact, because of Regine's past. And that may have also been the reason for the band not supporting Depeche Mode in the USA tour. They got the biggest porn industry in the US, but if you take off your top on stage, that's quite sensitive, and maybe the reason that they didn't tour with Depeche Mode in the US. Anyway, the last track they made is from 1990, and I have to say, sadly, Regine, she died of breast cancer in 2003. They just did some singles, but still I think the work they left behind is powerful and catchy.
Yeah, it almost sounds like the Anglo-French response to Donna Summer.
Yeah.
In sort of a new wave jacket. This is Italo feel is there in the back, but it's also more modern than the typical disco tracks that you had in the period before this. Like it, yeah. And I never heard of those acts or those producers, so cool.
Yeah, I agree. I just picked up on this song, I believe, maybe 10 years ago on an online radio show. Got a 12-inch, I believe I first bought the 7-inch because I couldn't afford the 12-inch one. And fell in love with this, and quite obscure. They had some tracks reissued in 2012 on Minimal Wave Records, combined on one album. But yeah, this is it. Summer vibes, at least.
Yeah, definitely. Spring all over.
Yeah, spring vibes.
So, Hipsway. Here is a Scottish band that everyone outside of Scotland has completely forgotten about. But for a year, from 1986 to 1987, Hipsway from Glasgow seemed to have reached breakthrough success at home, in Britain and in the United States. The Honey Thief went into the top 20 of UK singles chart, got to number 33 in the Netherlands, and even made number 19 in the US Billboard Hot 100. Hipsway toured successfully, selling out venues as headliners and supporting shows to Simple Minds at Ibrox Stadium in Glasgow and with the Eurythmics on a European tour. This smooth spring soundtrack song, The Honey Thief, is a guilty pleasure of mine, and it also was their best-selling single. I'll play a remix version for you, the Gallows mix, because I just love the 80s production tricks on this track. Play it loud and check that sound.
Jeroen, this is an 80s fest all over. I'm totally in love. And I also checked the original, scrolled through it, but this has so much more going on. I'm a fan.
Yeah, the producer definitely had a great day at the office when he was doing this.
Yeah.
It sounded like he didn't need the band particularly. It just took almost 1.5 minutes at the beginning to really show his stuff. And then again at about 2:50 in the middle of the track, again, he pushes out the track way further so he can have some more fun with these samples and all these different sounds. And he goes from left to right. He pans all over the place. It's just amazing 80s sound, yeah.
Absolutely. And there's also some really catchy riffs going on. It could almost be the soundtrack to some 80s movie that never happened but could have been, like The Breakfast Club 2 or something. It's catchy as hell.
Yeah.
I didn't know of this. So this is 86, you told me before we listened to this. Yeah, I was 7 at that time. But
so okay, you have missed it. I can imagine you weren't studying the top 40 when you were 7, so you're you are excused. But the whole album by Hipsway is actually quite worthwhile. It's very well produced, although not as spectacular as this. This is really the highlight. But the whole album by Hipsway, the original one, is definitely worthwhile. And high hopes for them, right, in 1987.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And then nothing. So what happened to Hipsway? Just as they seemed to forge an international breakthrough, bassist and co-founder John McElhone left in late 1986. He formed the top-selling act Texas, taking the group's manager, his brother Jerry, with him. The other members kept working on a second album called Scratch the Surface in New York, but midway through the lengthy sessions, drummer Harry Travers also quit. And then, due to record company politics, Scratch the Surface eventually emerged a year late when Hipsway had effectively already broken up. Apart from John McElhone, who had also been in Altered Images before, he had a success with Texas, but none of the other members were successful with their efforts after Hipsway.
Yeah.
You have a band, you're able to do this, you write these really catchy tracks, you have a great bass player, great guitarist, great production, you have a worldwide hit single, and then you fade into oblivion just like that.
Yep. Sucked into a kind of a black hole of obscurity.
Although I have to say, Texas was totally dominating the charts for a couple of years after 1987. So John McElhone did all right.
Okay. Yeah, good for him. But also very glad that you put this onto our radar, or mine at least. Yeah. So we kind of sucked them back out of that black hole and put them on the stage a little bit. April 2021.
I think in 2016 they tried making a comeback.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Outside of Scotland, not many people noticed. The interviews from that time are offline again already. So I had to use my special internet skills to even find this much information about the band.
Dig deep, bro. Dig deep. Okay.
That's the way we do it.
Yeah. You have the tendency to dig up all these and unearth all these stories about tracks that are really rare. So awesome, man.
Infect me.
Next up is another big one, another big band, I think, the Psychedelic Furs. Maybe it's a good idea to have a listen to the track and then talk a little bit about it. Another light and unknown track that I found on a compilation record with only B-sides on it. Here we go. This is the Psychedelic Furs with Another Edge.
I had never heard this track, and I really like it. It is crazy. It's all over the place. This bass line that is jumping up and down.
Yeah, it's frantic shit.
Orchestra sections which are sampled and all over the place. There's a lot of stuff going on in this track, man. Really nice.
Yeah. Those orchestra samples you just mentioned when we talked over this track, but the listeners couldn't hear it. We're talking with our headphones on, discussing tracks as we go along, just for your information. And you mentioned, I think correctly, that this must be sampling or Fairlight technology, just like with the track we played before.
Yeah, there has to be.
I think so. So the Psychedelic Furs, I did not really know them until maybe, well, let's say 15 years ago, to be really honest. They're a British new wave band founded in London in 1977. And the band is formed around singer Richard Butler and his brother Tim Butler on the bass guitar. They are one of the many acts spawned from the British post-punk scene. My introduction to this genre was more like The Cure, The Smiths and everything, and then when you go along you discover these guys.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
over the years their music went through several phases actually. They started off with art rock, Roxy music kind of sound in the late 70s. Later touching on new wave and even hard rock. I don't know any hard rock sounds by them. Anyway,
No, me neither.
the band had several hits in their early career, like Love My Way, a very popular one, and Heaven is a big one. And also another well-known track is Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, I love that one.
Me too.
That is linked to the John Hughes classic of the same name.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So Pretty in Pink was released in 1986. At the same time that movie was released. It served as an inspiration for the film by John Hughes, actually, of the same name. It was also re-recorded for the platinum-selling soundtrack. Richard Butler was later adamant that the cinematic interpretation had very little to do with the song's original intent. And as you will hear, it was not about a girl in a pink dress or anything like that. It was kind of a heavy song with quite serious lyrics. And also Butler has to admit that it was both a blessing and a curse, because the song brought them a really big audience and really launched them into the mainstream and great success. But at the same time, the song was really not seen as the value that it had if you look at the lyrics and the seriousness. But
No, actually. The song is about a girl who's sort of a slut. She sleeps around a lot and thinks that she's popular because of it.
yeah,
That's hardly the message of Pretty in Pink, I think.
that's absolutely true. That's probably the opposite. The song came to the attention of John Hughes by his muse, the teen actress Molly Ringwald. We know her. She said,
Oh, yeah.
music was incredibly important to John, and he had an amazing record collection, and also made the most incredible mixtapes. A lot of these songs ended up on his soundtracks, like Echo and the Bunnymen, The Smiths. We made a lot of mixtapes for each other on set, and I don't think he heard Pretty in Pink until I played it for him. So thanks, Molly Ringwald. Great job.
Good stuff.
Yeah, right?
Molly Ringwald actually has taste as well. Wow.
Yes, she has. And it was a bit of a double-edged sword for the Psychedelic Furs. Yes, it was commercial, didn't really pay homage to the way it was meant, but at the same time brought them a real big audience and platinum-selling records. So, can't complain, I would say. Butler Brothers.
No. And I remember looking up how they where the name came from. And I thought that it had something to do with Venus in Furs, maybe. A very well-known album by the Velvet Underground. But actually, when I was looking it up, it turns out that one of the Butler brothers actually said in an interview that they were just getting drunk in a pub one night. And they were thinking of all the punk band names that they really liked, such as The Clash and the Sex Pistols. And they had a very specific interest in the psychedelic. And we're discussing that. And then figured out that Furs would just fit very nicely with the psychedelic. So, yeah.
Well, nice background.
Yeah.
So if you're in the psychedelic mood, Furs might seem cuddly or fitting, I don't know. But it's definitely also a band name that gets attention. We had Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry.
Yeah.
That's like really far-fetched. But the Psychedelic Furs is also quite, draws your attention.
Open to interpretation, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, great track. Really enjoyed it. And I'd never heard this one before. And this is from, you said it's from some sort of compilation album with B-sides and stuff?
Yes, that's true. I heard it on a online radio station around 10 years ago. And it's on Spotify, luckily. And I saw it's on a, compilation, just like you said, of B-sides only. So like Lost Gems. And they put it onto a record and it's all there, yeah.
Oh, I've got it. It's called Here Came the Psychedelic Furs, B-sides and Lost Grooves.
That's it.
Okay,
That's
awesome. I see
one.
more tracks I've never heard of. This is cool. Great find, man. Really like it.
Glad to hear.
So one song that really fits together with this one, I think, is True Faith by New Order.
Like a glove. Man, yeah. Now that you mention it, this is a perfect fit, yeah.
It's a song that always lifts my spirits. It was written by the band together with their producer, Stephen Hague. And it was the first time they collaborated with Hague in 1986. Now, this was a year where they were so busy on a heavy tour schedule that they only had time to record one new song. And the money from New Order's Blue Monday hit had disappeared into Tony Wilson's Factory Club money pit. And on top of that, in 1987, they were hit with a rather large tax bill. And Bernard Sumners later admitted that they sat down with Stephen Hague with the specific goal of writing a top 40 hit to ease their financial troubles. And this is the song that would become True Faith. Bernard had an idea for the bass line, keyboard player Gillian Gilbert had some string ideas, Stephen got some drums down, and once they got the track going, Sumner was sent off to the flat they had in London with a bottle of Pernod. And he was told not to show his face again until he had written the lyrics. And he returned with a song about drug dependency. Bernard Sumner later said in an interview, "I don't touch heroin, but when I wrote that song, I tried to imagine what it's like to be a smackhead and nothing else matters to you except that day's hit." Not exactly typical subject matter for Top of the Pops. So at the last moment, while they were recording in the studio, producer Stephen Hague made them change True Faith's lyrics, because he said if they didn't, it would never become the hit they needed. Now the original lyrics were, "When I was a very small boy, very small boys talked to me. Now that we've grown up together, they're all taking drugs with me."
Okay.
And then they changed the last line to, "Now that we've grown up together, they're afraid of what they see." Which is
that's more of a...
much more subtle.
Yes.
And I guess Stephen Hague was right. In the end, it was a huge hit. Maybe even because they chickened out and changed the lyrics. Bernard, however, is known to change the lyric back sometimes when they play live. The song also has a surrealistic video clip, which was a staple of MTV programming in 1987, opening with two red and blue skinned characters slapping each other in the face to the rhythm of the beat.
Oh, yeah.
And that clip, just from there on, it gradually becomes even weirder. Luckily, I found out that there's an HD version of the clip available on YouTube. I'll include the link on our site, theinfected.nl. Go check it out, but first, let's listen to True Faith by New Order.
That's the price that we all
All right, True Faith. Is this a banger or what?
Man, 100%. You just told us about that HD video clip. If I'm watching that, I kind of remember it from back in the day. I saw it a couple of times, but I really like to listen to this track with my eyes closed and without the video clip. It has a much deeper meaning, a much deeper energy than that video clip that they made for it, in my opinion, because it's just weirded out. Maybe because of all the drug references in the songs, it kind of fits, but damn, what a banger. Totally agree.
Yeah, the surrealism of the video is a bit much, but I guess that's also what got them a lot of attention. Yeah. And you just have to admire the skill of people that sit down with the plan to write a top 40 hit and then come up with something like this. I mean, this is a work of art, and it perfectly did what it needed to do. It got them the money that they needed to survive and to move on. So it's a perfect track.
It's a perfect track, and man, the amount of balls and layers that it has, it sounds poppy at a first glance, but it's timeless, this one. And also, Bernard Sumner is a much better singer than Ian Curtis. Sorry, all fanboys, but this is really some nice, intense singing going on by Bernard.
Yeah, the thing is that they were really missing Ian Curtis, not just because of his personality, but also in the songwriting process. Because back at Joy Division, Ian didn't do a whole lot of the writing himself, but he let the guys jam, and then he told the bass guitar to play this part again, and then the guitarist to play that again. And he was really sort of directing the songwriting process without playing any instruments himself. So when they missed Ian, they were sort of out of their director, and they needed some time to figure out how to put songs together. But you can hear, by this time, 1987, they sort of figured it out, and they were able to write great songs.
Definitely. Also, this one made me think about that movie, American Psycho, from 2000, the year 2000, I believe.
Oh, that's the Bateman movie, right?
Yes, Patrick Bateman, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a bar scene in there. Patrick Bateman talks to the bar girl, and he's saying he wanted to kill her, but she's not hearing it. Yeah. There's True Faith playing in the background loudly there. It's been a while that I heard this track, Jeroen, so damn, great pick. Talking a little bit more about American Psycho, the movie adaptation is of a novel by Bret Easton Ellis. It's a story about a yuppie culture, also a melding of identity. There's a craving to stand out from a superficial society of the 80s and have the best business cards and the best outfits and the best hair anyway.
It's a book by Bret Easton Ellis, right? I remember
yes,
reading
it is.
It's completely laden with all kinds of descriptions where every item that the character has is defined by the brand. So you will never say, I pick up my sunglasses. He will always say, I pick up my Ray-Ban sunglasses. And, this brand and the materialism, it's everything.
Exactly that. I'm not booking a restaurant, I'm booking the Dorsia. I'm getting the best table. Yeah. A lot of identities get mixed up, and basically everyone around Patrick Bateman is the same person. They all kind of dress the same, act the same. The more you watch it, the more layers you uncover. Yeah. And also the name of the lead character, Patrick Bateman, is an obvious reference to Norman Bates from the Hitchcock movie, the classic Psycho.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that one, so that's a nice one.
Final fun fact, Christian Bale found his inspiration to play Patrick Bateman in a Tom Cruise appearance in The Late Show with David Letterman. Christian Bale saw in Tom Cruise a very intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes, an emptiness. And that's basically the inspiration for Christian Bale to play the role that he did. And that's kind of cool.
That's an interesting form of an insult, right? Because you have to, as an actor, come up with a way to play a completely psycho killer. Yeah. And then you look at your colleague and you go, the way that you present yourself is perfect
totally,
for my
bro.
Totally insane murderer. Thank you.
Do you remember that appearance by Tom Cruise on Oprah when he started jumping the couch when he was just dating Katie Holmes? Know what I mean? Like also psycho, but years later. But that was also he's kind of a weird guy, that Tom Cruise. Anyway.
I don't know what he was on, but that was some good stuff. Or at least it gave him a lot of energy.
Yeah. True.
He's totally freaking out every now and then. But still, I have to respect the guy because he's been at the top of movie making for 30 years. So,
yes, that's true.
He's got some skills, yeah.
But also 80% of the population is fucking insane and crazy, so that kind of makes sense.
So it fits right in, yeah.
If you're crazy, you have a big audience, that doesn't mean anything. Most of the people are crazy. That's just my opinion. Anyway. Next up, before I start rambling away and I lose you as a listener, sorry, just a small rant. The track we're about to play right now is by Bill Nelson, and it's called When Your Dreams of Perfect Beauty Come True, from 1982. Here we go. So, Jeroen, what did you think of that 808 beat?
Yeah, it's very recognizable. But this is way ahead of its time, and I almost want to make a remix of this and put a 4 on the floor beat under it. Tell everybody that it's from 1992 and it's a house track, because this really is way ahead of its time, and it's just that the beat is different in such a way that you can recognize it as being an 80s record, but it's very much into the way of house music that was played by bands like 808 State 10 years later. So there's really a connection there somehow, I'm sure. But I never heard of Bill Nelson, so no idea from which dark depths of the internet you got this guy. But nice find, man.
Well, me neither, bro. So we can shake each other's hands because I didn't know of this guy either. This 808 beat is like the electro house kind of feel.
Yeah.
First 20 seconds of the song could be a hit by
Whitney Houston, yeah. That's what I said.
Whitney Houston. Yeah, at the same time. It's kind of weird.
Somebody. Sounds like she's starting with the same beat, yeah.
We're gonna have to listen back, yeah. Bill Nelson is a bit of an enigma, in all honesty. Also, he appears to be quite well known at the same time. He's a multi-talented musician and artist from the town of Wakefield in England, and Bill showed a talent for art and design, had a passion for science fiction early on. His father was a saxophone player, Walter Nelson. He was the leader of a dance band, and his mother had once performed as part of a dance group. So music filled the household in the Nelson family, I think. Bill never learned to read music. He was relatively late coming to play the guitar. It's very time consuming if you want to master the guitar, as many of us know. Anyway, he was well into his teens before his father bought him a Gibson ES345.
Cool.
Not sure which model that is, but it sounds expensive.
That's the one that you see with AC/DC, for instance. The one with the devil horns.
Okay, the SG kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that Gibson eventually became his trademark instrument. But as you can hear in this track, he also mastered his skills in electronic gear. I'm taking a leap here from his youth into his career in the 80s, if you're okay with that. As an established musician by now, mid-80s, he was hired by Gary Newman to produce his 1983 album Warriors, with Newman saying that Bill Nelson was his favorite guitar player, bar none.
Wow.
However, the two musicians failed to maintain a working relationship, and ultimately Nelson chose not to be credited for his production role of the album. Nelson also contributed towards several tracks on David Sylvian's Gone to Earth.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay, I can see that.
From 86, you're a David Sylvian man.
Yeah.
And also in 1986, he worked with A Flock of Seagulls. So Bill Nelson, if you haven't heard of him, he had an own career, but he's also like a session musician for other great artists and a producer. And that's probably where he made most of his money and fame. Anyway, as the 80s ended, Nelson suffered a series of personal setbacks, including a divorce, tax problems, and a dispute with his manager over back catalog rights, because Nelson discovered that his manager had been selling copies of records via mail order without Nelson's consent or authorization or knowledge.
Oh.
Never did Nelson receive a dime of those royalties on those sales. And that's basically the end of this story.
That's a sad story, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, at the same time, a lot of talent. I'm sure he's made enough money to live comfortably, but it ended quite, sour.
Well, at least we still have the music, and it's kind of a weird title when your dream of perfect beauty comes true.
Yeah.
And it also feels a bit oriental at times, don't you think? It's sort of this Asian sort of motifs in the background.
Yes, that's very true. And I believe he married the wife of a former drummer of Japan.
No. No, you gotta be kidding me. Really?
I think it was the drummer of the wife of a drummer of Japan or something. He married a Japanese girl, and she was tied into someone from Japan. I can't remember.
Yeah, well,
I have to look it up again.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh.
Who knows?
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of Asian inspiration at that time in the London music scene in the 80s. Infected. So for our last track tonight, I want to take it back full circle, because in the beginning, the first track by Hardcore, they were from Brixton.
Yep.
And we've been discussing South London just a couple of weeks ago with the track South by Wooloo. Back then I said, there's another song about Brixton that I really need to be playing.
You did.
The time has arrived, because we'll be playing The Guns of Brixton by The Clash. It's a track from 1979. So this has a laid-back Paul Simonon bass-driven groove, and it fits right into this spring episode of The Infected. Mind you, although this track sounds light and summery, the lyrics tell a different story. Brixton, South London, was an impoverished neighbourhood in the late 70s. High unemployment, high crime, poor housing, and since it was home to a large community of Afro-Caribbean descent, it was also known as the Jamaican capital of London. This track tells the tale of how resistance was building in Brixton. The lyrics originally are about Brixton gangsters, but they gained relevance at the Brixton Uprising a year after its release, when the London police began Operation Swamp 81. The goal of this operation was to reduce Brixton's street crime through London plainclothes police officers stopping and searching people in Brixton on the grounds of just suspicion of possible wrongdoing. Within 5 days in April 81, almost 1,000 people were stopped and searched, the vast majority of those being young black men. Now, the people of Brixton rioted. Nearly 279 injuries to the police, 56 police vehicles were burned and 30 buildings burned. Up to 5,000 people were involved in these riots, while the London police used excessive force during arrests of black protesters. The Guns of Brixton became the soundtrack to these riots. Now listen to this song, listen to the lyrics, and you'll understand why. This is the Guns of Brixton.
Infected, classic.
You can crush us, you can bruise us, but you'll have to answer to the Guns of Brixton.
I don't know a lot about The Clash, but they sound so nice and sophisticated and deep. A lot of other bands, I think, from the same time, it's like punk bands, quite raw and in your face, but The Clash, they definitely offer a lot more meaning and a lot more production value. Is that something that makes sense from a 90s child, sorry? Is that something
well,
that...
they were definitely punk, you know, and they were definitely resisting society. But they went about it with a bit more sophistication, I guess, than many of the punk bands like GBH and The Exploited. So I think you've got that right. But you have to imagine that the very, very hot summer of 1981, when this song had been released on album a year before, when all this police violence was happening, people remembered the lyrics of this track saying... when they kick at your front door, how you gonna come? With your hands on your head or on the trigger of your gun? When the law break in, how you gonna go? Shot down on the pavement or waiting in death row?
Yeah.
They were really saying, when the police is coming, get a gun and start shooting. And that was inciting a lot of anger, but it was also fueled by the 70s feeling that they had, this punk feel that society was not giving young people, and especially young black people, a chance. And they were being pushed into criminal activities without being able to help themselves, and then basically treated like cattle by the police on the streets.
So did they have capital punishment in Britain then at that time? If you talk about death row, that must mean that they had a...
I'm not sure about that. So,
yeah?
in theory, this song is about... it's inspired by a Jamaican movie called The Harder They Come from 1972, where the lead character is Ivan, who is being played by reggae musician Jimmy Cliff. And he plays a Jamaican musician who is forced to turn criminal and dies under a hail of police gunfire at the film's end. And the parallels, obviously, the youth of Brixton trying to survive in a harsh 1970s Brixton of high youth and unemployment and forced criminality. And then in the end to be gunned down by the police, just like Ivan. So they also have this sentence, no need for the Black Mariah, goodbye to the Brixton sun. The Black Mariah, that is the way that they called police arrest wagons. And what they're saying is no need for the Black Mariah since they're already dead, right? So no need for an arrest wagon anymore. The coroner can come straight away. So you hear this reggae feel and this Caribbean background of Brixton really seeping through this track. Unusual for The Clash, it's Simonon who's also singing the lead vocals on this track. And Joe Strummer, the singer, said, "Hey, they're your lyrics, you sing them." And the rest of the band agreed. Even though the song was never a single, it has been hugely influential. The bass line was famously sampled in Dub Be Good To Me by Beats International.
Yep.
A.k.a. Fatboy Slim. And artists have covered the song from the Red Hot Chili Peppers to Arcade Fire. It's a very, very well-known album track by The Clash.
Cool.
Anyway, still, it's a happy song by its sound. And the warm reggae feel made me think it would be a good fit to celebrate the spring sun's return.
Seriously, absolutely. And I'm just more about like the music and don't always listen to the lyrics. And I know that Dub Be Good To Me version by... I didn't know Fatboy Slim was behind that, man.
Norman Cook is the name of the man who is also known as Fatboy Slim.
He's been active for a long, long time then, because this is an early 90s one, I believe. Anyway, I liked it. And also the vibe, the feel, but the lyrics make it quite heavy, but I tend to just stick with the lightness of that reggae feel, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so a little history lesson for you here, but obviously just a song to enjoy.
Yep, definitely. So, thank you everybody for listening. And Jeroen, thanks for doing this again with me this episode. Had a lot of fun.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Perfect, man.
Wouldn't miss it.
Thank you. Same here. And I hope our listeners like this episode as well. By the way, before we close off with a really kick-ass special competition, what was the 8-bit minute solution of last week? We've heard it. Please enlighten us, Jeroen.
Was it not True Faith?
Yes, it was. It was True Faith. Yes. Like you know, if you listen to our show, we have a special competition for you in the end of our episodes. And also, you can have a chance to win free merchandise if you do so. All the show notes, info and playlists of all the music we discussed and play is to be found on our website in a handy Spotify links and easy to read view. You can also subscribe to the podcast there. Please visit our website at www.theinfected.nl. Or you can just go to the site to get in touch with us. Come say hi, suggest a track. This is all for now. The whole season will end the show with this 8-bit minute. And if you can recognize the artist and track, send us a message also to our website, which we just mentioned. And at the end of the season, the best listener wins a luxury back-printed The Infected t-shirt.
Wow.
So now on to this week's 8-bit track. Good night and we'll meet again.
8-bit minute. 8-bit minute. 8-bit minute.